from OscarMayer.com. And I'm just fascinated that the packaging says Kato salami made with chicken, beef, pork added.
Is salami supposed to be pork? I don't know the difference between it.
I think you can make your salami out of whatever meats you want. Like,
really?
Made with chicken, beef, pork added.
Wait a minute. Is this salami or is this just
Kato salami? That's the one that has little fat pieces in it.
The way you described it reminds me of pet food when they try to sell you on like
yes, it does.
Crude protein.
Why does it say chicken, beef, and pork?
Yeah.
Why do they say like
your dog will love it?
Added.
Chicken, beef, pork added. We knew you were expecting
chicken, beef, and pork added.
We also added pork.
Yeah, well, this is
the pig eats the chicken, and then the cow eats the pig, and then you cook it all at one time.
And then a duck eats that, and then you have that triple
salami. Yeah.
Do you remember that children's song? You know, about the old lady who swallowed a fly?
I don't know why she swallowed.
They speculated that she might die, I believe.
It's funny because it's like, for some reason, this reminded me of when Roger said that, like, oh yeah, that song where the woman eats all the animals and she dies. It's like, why was that a children's song?
The turducken of children's songs.
Oh my god,
Sarah, I'm knee deep in children's songs.
What's that?
I'm knee deep in children's songs right now. Roger, I'm sure you can appreciate this.
Yes.
Like my son has a toy that plays a bunch of songs. He enjoys that I sing them, or he's used to the fact that I sing along to them to maintain my sanity. Whenever Three Blind Mice comes on, that's just like a horror story. Like there's knives. First of all, they're disabled.
There's mutilation.
Yeah, and it's very bizarre.
Well, that's how you taught kids back in the Middle Ages.
Somebody should make a horror film based on Three Blind Mice.
In a world. Oh wait, no, that's the actual.
Wasn't that a mob movie? Three Blind Mice. No.
There was 12 Angry Men.
Probably a movie somewhere called.
They've done Little Red Riding Hood, because that's definitely horror.
Yeah, the gritty reboot of Three Blind Mice.
Yeah.
Watch them run.
It's going to be a Quentin Tarantino feature.
Oh.
I didn't direct it, but my name's on it, so it's good.
It should be a 10-part Netflix series like Stranger Things.
Yeah. Three Blind Mice Part 6.
No, it should be like the Defenders, where you'll have like one on each mouse, and then they meet together at the end.
Each got a different blind mouse, and then they come together.
You find out episode 7 why they became blind. You know, they tease it throughout each episode.
It's kind of like Daredevil, I guess. Yeah.
So, wait, you guys are about to start the show. Never mind. I will not go on.
We are. We're getting close to starting the show.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, I will bid a fond farewell, Lamarr.
Take care, sir.
I'm not here to replace you. Best of luck.
Oh, I can't be replaced.
Only succeeded.
Wait, that is all right.
Thanks for the report, Rich.
Peace out.
See ya.
Hi. I just don't know why anybody sang a song about a woman who swallowed all those animals and dies.
Yeah, no fun at all.
Well, I mean, kind of fun when you're a kid.
It's like Ring Around a Rosie.
What animal eats the other animal? But as an adult, I'm like, that's really weird.
Ring Around a Rosie was horrible. They all were horrible.
Awful.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah. It was about
Black Plague, but I've actually heard that's also a rumor, and it's not.
To distract you all, but we should start the show.
Sorry.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. I'm going to start us in 5 seconds. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Thanks to everyone who supports Daily Tech News Show directly. To find out more, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support. This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, November 8th, 2018 in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
Also in Los Angeles, I'm Lamarr Wilson.
And to round out the LA crew, it's Roger Chang, producer for the show.
We apologize for our LA-centric bias. We will try to overcome it with a lot of stories that originated in China on today's show, including one about fake or virtual, depending on how you look at it, news anchors. Let's start with a few tech things you should know.
Some Windows 10 Pro users are getting notices that their systems aren't activated and that they need to install Windows 10 Home instead. The majority of these users seem to be ones who got Windows 10 licenses as a free upgrade from Microsoft back in 2015. Microsoft says there is indeed an ongoing issue with its activation servers that's triggering the system errors, but the problem should be fixed within a couple of days.
Oh, a couple of days. Ouch. Somebody at our Slack got bit by this, so yeah, it's out there.
Oh, that's terrible. A YouTube app for the Nintendo Switch is available today on the Nintendo eShop. It's the second video app on the Switch after Hulu and offers access to 360-degree videos. Yes.
And I guess you could get your YouTube movies or even Movies Anywhere stuff when you've got it hooked up to your TV.
Yeah, it should work right through the YouTube app. Yeah.
Safaricom launched M-Pesa Global, opening up the mobile payment system to worldwide use. More worldwide use. It already worked with PayPal and a few others. Kenyan M-Pesa users can now send and receive money worldwide through the system, including new partnerships with Western Union and banks. That's the big part. Banks in the United Arab Emirates, UK, and Germany at launch, with more bank systems to be added. All right, let's talk a little bit more about an important product launch, Lamarr.
Yes, this is very serious. I will not laugh through this. Facebook's Portal Plus and Portal Smart Displays are available to buy on the Portal's online store and at Amazon and Best Buy. The Portal Plus is $349. It is a $349 smart display with a camera and a 15.6 inch 1080p HD display that can be viewed in landscape or portrait mode, and Portal goes for $199 with a 720p 10.1 inch screen that's landscape mode only. That's a mouthful there. Both devices can be used as Alexa speakers along with Facebook's Hey Portal, sorry, I tried, voice service. And if you buy two Portals together, you save $100.
And then you can open one on one side and then go through it to the other.
Yeah. So I have a really extended, bear with me, opinion about this. It's going to take a couple of minutes.
Go for it.
No. No.
Now, why? Like, what is
okay?
Why?
Okay. So like seriously, Facebook comes out with this at the time that they're dealing with all of this. I don't know if it's antitrust, but all these privacy issues and things. And yes, I know we allow Apple in our home with FaceTime and things. We allow other companies, but Facebook has always been that one that we just kind of cringe when they want to invade our home and our personal life a little bit more. And I'm very uneasy about this. And I know they came out with a press release yesterday and they said, "Oh, it's local. We don't store anything." I don't trust them on this one, and it just feels creepy to me. It's a big no.
You're not the only one that says that. The Verge review on this pretty much said the same thing. They're like, great piece of hardware, very well locked down for privacy. Don't trust Facebook. Like it's not about the piece of hardware itself. It's not about the policies. Facebook is bending over backwards to say, look, we actually put a physical piece of hardware that can't be circumvented to cover the video. We're keeping everything local. You could let people audit it to make sure that it's local. And people are like, yeah, I just don't trust you. And I've never trusted Facebook, but I don't trust them any less these days. I feel like they are a bit of a victim of overreaction, but this is not going to sell. It's also limited. Yeah. I mean, it's basically just a video phone that has Spotify on it.
Yeah, I don't know who they're marketing this to. When it was first announced some weeks ago, like no one covered it. I think I heard about it the next day, and I was like, why are no reviewers getting this? And they're like, I literally talked to some YouTube reviewers. They're like, we don't want it at all.
And I think it's unfortunate because this is actually a really good piece of hardware privacy-wise. It's not that great a piece of hardware outside of video calling. If you want to do video calling, it's actually a great video caller. It apparently, by all accounts on the reviews I've read, is better at handling video calls than the Echo Show, than the Google Home, than FaceTime. But I don't think it's going to get a fair shake because, again, nobody trusts Facebook and people are weirded out even by the Echo and the Home having a microphone in their house right now.
Yeah.
Amazon released its Alexa app for Windows 10 today, which was previously only available on select Windows 10 laptops. You can download and install on any Windows 10 PC, but only compatible devices will support the wake word functionality. which is not Hey Portal, actually. Otherwise, a button within the app or a keyboard shortcut will trigger that assistant.
Now I trust them. They could, yeah. This is, see how hypocritical I am. Yeah, this is great. I wouldn't have a problem with
You have
this.
no problem putting an Alexa app in your Windows machine.
No, I already got Cortana and all that. Amazon to me, I know they have a vested interest in making money for, for shopping and all that. I get it, but I do have a stronger trust with them. I guess because I don't know, I buy my things there.
They know.
Yeah, I don't know.
They know a lot about you too, and you're okay.
They do. They know probably more than Facebook knows. It's weird. That's why I said it's very hypocritical of me.
I think that's the interesting thing about both these stories, that it's not necessarily about what's actually happening in either case. It's about perceptions.
Yes,
it's about what people feel about them based on the headlines that they've seen constantly.
Sarah, what you doing? I'm gonna get one. Would you install it?
Sure, of course. I mean, I use Amazon's voice assistant every day and have ever since I got one of these smart speakers as well. That's actually kind of when we were talking about the Portal story previously. I was sort of like, well, okay, privacy aside, it sounds like a pretty good device. If you get the two smaller ones together, you save a little bit of money. It's not a bad price or anything, but it's true. Amazon probably knows a lot more about all of us and can discern between just kind of what you might talk with your friends about online and pictures that you share to actual things that you are purchasing, credit card numbers and all of that stuff. So it's interesting that it's like, well, this sounds fine.
Yeah, this is fine.
No, I think the ding on the Portal should be that it's limited, not much of anything else. But Xiaomi launched its 6.21-inch Mi 8 smartphone for £499 in the UK Thursday, along with the Redmi 6A smartphone, the Xiaomi Band 3 fitness tracker, and the Mi electric scooter there. Xiaomi is adding the UK to Spain, France, and Italy as its European markets. A Mi store will open up in the Westfield, London on November 18th. Xiaomi has an event scheduled in New York in December where it is expected to announce smartphone sales in the US. They're also operating in Latin America. They passed up Samsung in the Indian market. Xiaomi is ranked 4th globally in smartphone sales and sells its products right now in 74 markets. I think one of the more significant parts of this story is the continuing rise of Xiaomi. I think a lot of people thought it was going to maybe crest and fall back once it tried to get outside of China, but it looks like it's catching a wave here.
Yeah, didn't the US block their last phone?
They did not. That's a good question. A lot of people may confuse that. The US hasn't blocked anybody trade-wise. The US did order parts makers not to sell to ZTE, but that has since been overturned, and now you can sell parts to ZTE. And the US has said that it won't allow its agencies to buy Huawei devices, although you can buy a Huawei device as a citizen of the US. It's again not a trade import block or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, good. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, and Xiaomi's not part of any of that. So we will see in how they are received in December if they in fact do announce they're coming to the U.S. market. They sell the scooter here. They sell some of their headphones and things like that. They just haven't sold a smartphone domestically in the U.S.
Yeah, the phone looks fine. He has the the A45 processor. The kind of like the OnePlus that has the end screen or under screen, excuse me, touch ID type of thing. It looks fine. And it's a good price point. I think US it was $650, something like that. More competition, the better.
I honestly, Lamarr, the way that you just phrased that is exactly how I feel. Anytime I hear one of these announcements, it's like, well, if I needed a phone, that sounds pretty good. I don't, so I'm not going to buy it. But if I did, and the timing was right, because we just have so many manufacturers making so many really nice smartphones now that are all more or less in the same price range, depending on what you're getting. It's always sort of like, looks good.
And this one's on the lower end of the price range. £499 is just a little over $600 US. So, this is quite a bit cheaper than a Samsung or an Apple. It's not one-to-one comparable either, but it is fairly high end, particularly for the price.
Mm-hmm. Facebook is expanding its Facebook dating service to Canada and Thailand after launching in Colombia back in September. With the new rollout, users can temporarily pause matches and give a second look at potential matches they already passed on.
This is so weird. Okay, so a Facebook spokesperson, they're not giving numbers on the rollout in Colombia, so we don't know how many people are using it. But of course, Facebook says, "Don't worry, it was wild applause. Everybody loves it." So we're launching in these 2 new markets, and you're going to get new features like being able to take a second look at somebody you didn't even like in the first place, which says to me, they're just trying to ramp up user engagement, right? Because if I look at 10 people and I'm like, never mind. And Facebook's like, maybe you want to look at them again. It's like, well, are there 10 other people? Maybe
I was just in a bad mood that day. That person looks great now.
Well, and I don't know. I'm sure that's a feature that some people are like, oh, good. I'm glad this exists. But to me, it says more like there's not a lot of user engagement.
Right.
Yet.
There's only 10 people.
Right.
Keep looking at them.
Yeah, I'm actually curious if anybody out there who's used any dating app has thought, oh, I wish I had the ability to go back and relook at somebody I passed up on. Is there somebody who's been, yes, this is the feature I've been dying for?
Okay. As somebody who has used dating apps in the past, every once in a while I was like, oh, I meant to right swipe. Oh, well, bye forever. So yeah, sure. It's a feature that would come in handy here and there. But I don't think it's something that people are constantly wanting.
Okay. So I never used a dating app. You can't go back if you make a mistake and like swipe?
No, not usually, unless you like pay for it, or it's sort of one of these in-app purchases where they're like, well, if you've got crazy hands, then if you pay $1.99, then you can go back. But no, it's Facebook dating it's funny. It's talking about our trust levels with Facebook. Facebook dating is not something that I would want to engage in. Whereas a Facebook smart display / speaker, I don't know. I could probably live with that, but I don't want them having my dating information.
Yeah, see, back in my day, it was all about the Yahoo personals. So,
I think they still exist, right?
They do. Yeah.
Probably.
Back in my day, it was going to Cam's or Trudy's.
Are those restaurants?
Yeah.
Or women.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Like, which cameras were you going to? Okay.
Who's Trudy? Moving on. Guangzhou Public Transit launched a self-driving taxi service this week with 3 cars made by a startup called WeRide.ai. The cars operate for 2 hours a day in a college area and have human safety drivers on board. In related news, Baidu announced Wednesday it will mass-produce driverless cars with automaker FAW Group starting in late 2020, and Baidu is also partnering with Volvo.
So Nutonomy has been doing a lot of stuff in Singapore in limited areas and actually in Boston. We've got Waymo doing limited rides in Arizona. We've got Guangzhou now. We've got Baidu on the way. You guys, I mean, a lot of these stories are about like which country is going to win the race. They're all going to get there within a couple of months, maybe not years of each other. We're all going to be able to take advantage of a self-driving car service of some description in the next couple of years.
Is it? And this may be a little bit separate. Are some of these companies testing in other countries because of like less regulation? They just kind of they have kind of an open, free reign to test better.
No, it's a really good point. China has been very encouraging of local regulation. So municipalities in China are allowed to set their own rules about what they allowed to test. So a lot of these companies have found it easier to get rolling in a place like Guangzhou. But that's also true of Arizona. The reason Waymo's in Arizona is because Arizona was way friendlier to letting it test than, say, California or New York. So yeah, that affects who's going to get it first, how permissive any particular location is.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like it.
Are you guys ready to do this? Like not as a test, not as I'm at CES, I'll get in a car and try it out. I mean, as a regular part of your life.
So yeah, theoretically, yes. And I want to get to a time where the safety driver is not even in there. Like just you hop in and it's like on a, but see, I don't know. I feel like if it was on a tram or something a little bit safer at first, where it's like, okay, I mean, like you're on a bus, but it's not a driver. No, the train is a good example. Some trains don't have conductors anymore, right?
Like airports, particularly, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I'd be down.
I don't know. There's so many bad drivers. It's like, how much worse could this be, really?
Exactly.
I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's not having a safety driver. I don't know. That might give me some pause. But yeah, in general, it's sort of like this is happening. It's being tested. There's going to be things that have to be tweaked and get fixed as the technology gets better. But in general, I know how it's supposed to work, and I don't have a whole lot of fear with the idea of having a driverless car take me somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've lived half my life with like, what, I'm good, so let's do it.
The line for me is that human safety driver. I will get in all day long with that human safety driver there because I think this technology is fairly well along. I don't know if I trust it enough yet. It hasn't been demonstrated to my satisfaction to get in it alone.
What if you wore a really puffy outfit?
So if I dress up as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man for Halloween, then I will.
But
yeah,
but
and wear your seatbelt. Of course, you're fine.
No,
you're a science fiction writer. You should be embracing this and jumping in
fiction,
first.
Lamarr, emphasis on the fiction. Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. This is something that is real. Sort of. Actually, we're going to evaluate how much of a publicity stunt this is and how real it is. Xinhua News Agency and search engine Sogu launched composite anchors. These are machine learning trained virtual anchors who read the news. They have two, one who reads in Chinese, one in English, and they were unveiled at the World Internet Conference in Wuhan. Now, that is important. This is like, this is like a CES announcement, right? This was at a conference. We showed off this thing. They do say, Xinhua says they are going to put these into practice. They're on the site right now. They'll be available in their apps, on their WeChat channel, and on their website. The English anchor was modeled on Zhang Zhao, a real anchor for Xinhua. Voices, facial expressions, mouth movements, all synthesized and animated using deep learning techniques. The one thing I noticed about it is, as far as like being similar to a deep fake, the video's pretty good. If you didn't tell me it was fake, I don't know whether I would have noticed. Knowing it was fake, I could see some imperfections, but the voice definitely sounded robotic, and I wondered if that was a choice to make sure it's distinguishable somehow.
It was more like it sounds just like Wolf Blitzer. It's about the same thing, Sorry, that was terrible. No, but he reads very methodically. I know.
Many local news anchors are robotic. I get it.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I was thinking about would this bother me if I knew and I was like, oh, I have the choice between watching this channel for my human anchor and the robot anchor. Well, okay, you could almost liken it to something like Daily Tech Headlines versus Daily Tech News Show that we're doing right now. The headlines are headlines. I read them this morning. If a robot read them and it was still the words that I had written earlier before I recorded, well, the information is pretty much the same. On a show like this, it's at least impossible based on what we're talking about because it's all discussion and we're all playing off of each other. And, hopefully that's why people like the show because there's a lot of human component available. But, a lot of news is completely scripted. The discussion part of it is only a certain type of news. I don't know how much I would care. And if I was a news agency, I'd want to save money by not paying a human.
Yeah, if you use I believe it's on Echo as well. You have your different news things you can listen to, especially this show. But they also have some other things like in other technology news, and it's a robot AI reading it. Just reading the headlines.
Speech, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just text to speech, and I've been fine with that. And as you say, like you think of breaking what's the headline news? I don't know what they are now. I think they're a different kind of thing now, but back in the day, it was just headlines. Just tell me what the news is, and I'd be down with that. I don't know that you need to have a person. I don't need to look at a fake person.
That's where I'm at too. Is I wonder at what point do we decide? Okay, I needed to see the person when it was a real person, and I was curious to see their expression as they were telling me the news. But if I know that it's a virtual anchor, do I care anymore about seeing them? right? Like,
yeah, this seems like a bridge on comfort level. Just so as we transition to the robots, it still seems kind of like the news that you're used to.
Now,
but yeah, do you need a fake human sitting there at a desk? No, actually, we're just used to it.
If they did something weird, like bring back Peter Jennings, or something like that, where you like your favorite news anchor.
Yeah,
then
Edward
we get
R. Murrow
then we get into a weird category.
I mean, there's holographic performances going on at Coachella. Also kind of weird.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, but again, the cool thing about an anchor is knowing that anchor is looking at the story and being able to see their reactions. If it's a virtual Peter Jennings, that's not the same as a real Peter Jennings. No. And it's maybe cool once, but after a while, it's like, well, I know that's not really Edward R. Murrow, so what does it matter, right? Like,
right?
It's not a novelty thing. I like you say, Sarah. I think this is a bridge, and eventually we'll find out. Like, well, seeing a human face is really not that important to video news. Seeing the video of what actually was happening is more important.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because when you think of it that way, you're like, having to see the human all the time is taking away from all the visual aspects of the story because we got to go back and forth all the time. Yeah. I think probably the question is, because I've run into this a few times where I maybe it's a YouTube video or something where I'm like, is that a human or is this some sort of an AI voice? You can kind of tell, but not always. And it annoys me if that's not pointed out to me. I just want to know, it's when you get a robocall, is that really a person or is that just, the silly recording that's designed to sound like a person to trick you? I think people just don't want to be tricked. And
in the end, I think this is a little bit of a publicity stunt because we've seen plenty of deep fakes that can take video and make it look like they're saying the thing that's being said. The rest of it's just text to speech. So, good for Xinhua and Sogu for being able to, get some headlines. It is very interesting using it in this use case and putting it in an active news agency. Xinhua is the main state-owned news agency in China, but the technology itself is not that surprising at this point.
Well, it is surprising how wonderful everyone in our subreddit is. You can submit stories and vote on others at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Thanks to everybody who helps us build our shows every day. Also on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/Daily Tech News Show. Lamarr, I know that you have been lucky enough to play around with one new amazing tablet. I don't know. Is it amazing? Let us know.
It's a tablet. So yesterday I actually went to the Apple store and I got the new iPad Pro. I got the 12.9. I did that YouTuber thing and got the 1 terabyte because why not? Why not spend way too much money on storage I'll never use? I don't know. But the 1 terabyte one, weirdly, it comes with 6 gigs of RAM versus the other ones that come with 4. So, we'll get to see, how it is. Now, the reason I chose the 12.9 is because you remember the old iPad Pro, that really big one? I think it was like 13 inches or so. That one was really big and heavy. But now with this one, they got the bezels down. This is super light. I was actually surprised how light it was. And it actually felt really, really good holding it. So I decided to get this one versus the 11. I will say this. I have not pushed it. I've had it 24 hours. I don't know how to push it to its limits. I played some Candy Crush and I played I played a Marvel Strike Force game.
All right.
And I've done basic typing and browsing and switching apps and things. But I'm really interested to see what apps I can use to push this. It has this great processor, but what am I going to do with this? And besides watching and consuming media. So for the price, I don't know. It'll be a while before I could tell, but it's a beautiful device. It's a beautiful screen. The speakers sound great. I did it all on there. People said it sounded just like on my laptop. So yeah. And the pencil. Cool.
And it's pretty solid. It seems like when it
absolutely solid. And I did get the Folio, which has the keyboard. Which I gotta say, this is one of the nicer keyboards, and you could put the iPad in 2 positions. You can have it sitting a little bit more right up, or you can have it lean more. And I kind of like that option. So yeah.
It's pretty much like my Surface RT in that way.
Oh, yours has the two spaces.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
See,
I can have it can use the kickstand on there.
they copied. Yeah, and then the nice part, which is I like that they finally covered the back. I don't know. My other one did have a cover. So yeah, it's very early on, but I spent way too much money, and yeah, I don't know if it's ever going to be worth it. To be honest,
All
with
right,
you. But it's pretty.
We will check in down the road after you've spent a little more time with it too. And
Yeah,
then
thank you.
See how you're feeling per dollar spent.
Yeah, I don't know.
How much it was worth it. All right, Sarah, let's check out the mailbag.
Michael, aka Tech Dad, wrote in about our conversation with Scott Johnson yesterday about the idea of being able to tell who someone is by the way that they walk, their gait. Michael says, the walking thing in AI got me thinking. Just yesterday, I had somebody say, I thought that was you. I saw you walking. The new fingerprint is probably kind of like this. I can usually tell based on how someone walks, if they're male or female. I'd be thinking that a computer can probably recognize more than I can, very much like the Bill Gates gait is recognizable as well.
Yeah, it's it's cool. The more you think about it, the more you're like, yeah, I guess that is identifiable even to humans. So it makes sense that you would be able to come up with some kind of machine learning way to identify it as well.
When I read this email this morning, I was like, there are certain people that even if they're way down the street, you know it's them because of the way that they walk. But I wouldn't say that about everybody. Some people
What if I walk and dance at the same time?
Then
we'll probably know it's you.
It must be Lamarr. Always walking and dancing.
Yeah,
that's true. Darn.
It's called locking. Or
pop locking.
I know that's where I was
Wancing. Sorry. Pardon me. It's a new thing. Getting used to it. Thanks, Lamarr Wilson, for being on the show. You're not even usually with us on Thursdays, so what a surprise this was.
I know. Thank you for having me. Glad I was able to pop in.
Absolutely. Let folks know where they can keep up with all your fabulous work.
Yeah, so I'm on YouTube pretty regularly, youtube.com/Lamarr Wilson. Did an unboxing of this tablet and went into some finer details of it. It's an entertaining unboxing. It says I'm an entertaining unboxer there. I wonder who wrote that. So if you'd like to check me out, youtube.com/Lamarr Wilson. Lots of content all the time.
I do like you chose a thumbnail of you crying as you unbox the iPad.
Yeah, it was painful. When I got that receipt, I was like, oh my God.
Hey folks, there's lots of ways to support Daily Tech News Show. You can just listen to it for free with some ads. That supports us just fine. If you want to support us directly and not have to listen to some ads, we got all kinds of cool things at patreon.com/DTNS, including a column up today from our own Roger Chang on that A12X processor in the iPad and how it relates to the ongoing processor wars with Intel and AMD. If you want those insights, just back us at $5 a month. That's 25 cents a show, and you can read it right now at patreon.com/DTNS.
If you've got feedback for us, we would like to have it. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're also live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 21:30 UTC, and you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
Back tomorrow to talk about electric trucks with Tim Stevens. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Hey, Sarah, I thought you were going to say, if you like pina colada. When you did the ending, it sounded like you were going there, but it
had a sing-song quality to it. I know. Sometimes.
If you like getting caught in the rain, join us.
Yeah. If you like giving feedback.
So you need to sing it now.
I want some jelly beans now.
Why?
Because of the pina colada.
Yeah. Because I don't drink, so the only cocktails I can have are jelly beans.
Well, I mean, I drink alcohol, but pina coladas are not. I don't.
Wait. How do you connect cocktails and jelly beans? Help me.
Because pina colada flavored jelly beans.
You never had this?
No.
Those are great.
They're like white and they are coconut.
It tastes like pineapple coconut.
All right, okay. No, well, I can't stand pineapple anything. I mean, coconut. Sorry, I love pineapple. I said it wrong. I thought you
You
said
don't
coconut.
like coconut.
No, I don't. I don't like coconut either.
Now you
don't
gave
like
me all this ish for my watermelon
Okay,
hatred.
watermelon
and you don't
is
even
universal.
like coconuts?
Watermelon is universal.
Watermelon
Coconut
is evil. Coconut is very good.
Coconut. People liking coconut is more rare than liking watermelon.
Thank you. It's water.
Well, you know what? Everyone's got it wrong.
Just
like coconut.
Toto.
Coconut water is the worst. It is
Well, no,
the worst.
coconut water is usually pretty bad,
Yeah.
but that's because
Okay.
they sugar it up and it's weird. If
don't
you
like
have like somebody hacks a coconut and puts a straw in it,
Mm-mm,
that is
mm-mm.
good. Oh my
Nah.
gosh, it's so delicious.
It's pretty good, but not
Oh,
everybody likes it.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I don't like
Ron
coconut on my
Burgundy.
cake. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, well, Harihu in Discord says Sarah is wrong.
Well, you know what? You're wrong.
Coconut.
I could put a straw in my watermelon.
Oh. Just the idea of drinking watermelon is almost worse
It's
than eating it.
water. It's what is the, I don't understand the hang up.
Slightly salty water.
It's an upsetting fruit. Very upsetting.
That's salty at all. What's
I love all the fruits except for cantaloupe.
Durian.
You know,
durian.
as long as it's served like in a restaurant, and I don't have to deal with the rest of the fruit.
Okay. All right.
Cantaloupe. I'll eat half a cantaloupe for breakfast, no problem.
I'll eat honeydew. I love honeydew.
Honeydew.
I love honeydew.
Don't
I was
hate
gonna say,
it,
aren't they the
though.
same thing? But they're
No.
not.
No,
I know.
gosh,
You
they
don't know your
don't- they don't
melons,
even-
Lamar.
No, what's I buy that
Nothing
little
about them.
bowl from the grocery store that has all, they fill it with 90% melon and 3 grapes. And they're like, yeah, it's a mixed bowl. And I forget which one is honeydew,
You
which
just
one
buy
is
the melons, buy the fruit yourself. You save lots of money and you have a lot more.
nah, I'm too lazy to do that.
Time. Good time.
Yeah,
to
all that
cut one.
cutting.
Heaven
Nobody got time for
forbid
that.
we go back to our forefathers where we had to plant the foods that we ate.
Yes,
And then,
yes, exactly. Because we
Yes.
actually have time to make more things now because we don't have to all sit
Yeah.
down and
Yes,
like,
I don't want
and
Well,
I
all
can
of
make
our
myself a
popcorn.
fruit bowl with fruit
Yeah,
I bought from
going
Yeah,
back
so
will
don't
be
worry about
particularly bad for me.
robots. Robots will take all of our jobs, but we'll become farmers with all of our free time.
Isn't that the new thing for Silicon Valley to wind down or to kind of chill out is having your own what are they called, hen houses,
What are
urban
we
hen
calling
houses.
this episode, Roger?
I was thinking I'm Ron Burgundy.
Oh, because of the
Mhm.
Or the news is a simulation. China's Max Headroom.
Mhm.
Dating tech news show.
Mhm.
I mean, I get it.
Portal, no.
Facebook dating for crazy hands.
I swiped left. Ah!
Do you have crazy hands?
Roger, you didn't like, and that's the AI it is.
We used something like that before, though.
Did we? Oh, crap.
Not,
I don't
not that I
understand
don't
that
like
joke.
it, Balco, but
And the
we've
way it
used
is.
before.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We've done something very similar.
China's Max Headroom then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do that. Which is ironic since the Max Headroom character was not CG'd, but rather an
Nerds.
actor in makeup.
Sure, but in the fictional world of the show, he was
Of
not.
Coca-Cola universe. Or was it Pepsi?
It was
coconut.
Coke.
Wasn't
It was Coke, and then it was a TV show.
Yes.
Right?
It was a very boring TV show.
Very odd. Yeah.
We ran it on Tech TV, I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
I told them they should try to get the rights to Roughnecks. Starship Troopers animated feature from Sony. Really
Did you?
good.
Sure.
People still like our Starship Troopers?
3 seasons of cartoons.
Oh, I didn't even know they had a cartoon for it.
It was back
just
in
know
the early 2000s.
I just know the one movie, which was very funny.
Actually, they did 3 movies of it, didn't they?
Really?
The first one was with Verhoeven, which is the good one. The rest were just
Yeah,
trying
they
to
were
make
trash.
money off
Really?
the property.
Yeah, yeah. But I like, sometimes you just want to sit down and watch trash. And so. I think I
That's
saw
why there's
part of
Maury Povich and
it. Not that kind of trash. I don't
The
know.
Eternal Love.
I was about to say Donahue.
What do you think Maury Povich feels about having been doing the show as long as he's been doing it?
It's a nice picture.
He's probably thinking I lasted longer than my wife in TV.
Wow. Yeah, stick it to Connie.
Wow.
Well, okay.
Wow.
I was thinking more along the lines of, is he just completely on autopilot now? You know, because the shows are more or less just the same show over and over.
Think about
And have
Alex
been
Trebek.
for decades.
Alex Trebek and Pat Sage. I think it's all autopilot.
Although you do
it's 30
get
some years.
Wheel of Fortune is a
Who would
little
do
bit
the
different,
same
but
kind of show for more than 10 years. Like, that's just stupid. What kind of-
yeah, who would do that? What do
But this is
you,
the
one
thing.
trick pony?
If you were to take Alex Trebek and somehow, for some reason, Jeopardy is canceled, what would he do? His resume is like 4 decades of this quiz show.
Oh, that's a great college humor sketch in the making. Alex Trebek interviewing for jobs after getting kicked off after Jeopardy ends.
What is my salary?
You would think that over the years he would have learned so many things.
I don't think he learns anything.
But I think
learns
it's more of just like he knows when something's right or wrong, and it's the cadence of it more than actually absorbing
His job is to
knowledge.
look like he's smart. I don't think he.
Alex phrased that in the form of a question. I did, Alex.
What would you like to do here at Amazon? You know what? He would do an Amazon. She would have a show on Amazon or Netflix. We'll just call it quiz something.
Yeah, I kind of feel like you're right. Like if he ever did leave Jeopardy, he would just host some Jeopardy like show somewhere else. Like,
I
guess it's kind of like Larry King when he went to Hulu.
Yeah,
that was like,
which he's still doing that, I think, right?
I have not seen his show.
Some internet something or other.
Yeah, he's trying.
Well,
every time I watch, because I really like Jeopardy, but every time I watch, I think to myself, like, okay, within this half an hour, I'm gonna learn a lot of trivia, and it's like there are things that I do learn, but I don't really retain them, and maybe it's just because of the nature of it being like a game show, and I'm not reading the information or something.
Interference they send out in the signal to prevent you from.
Right. So you have to keep watching the show, thinking you'll one day get smarter.
No, they don't want anyone to learn anything, or they'll stop watching
because they'll be too smart for the show. Yeah, of course.
Or they'll come on and win and bankrupt the show.
My wife and I just watched a short documentary on Hulu about this guy who was such a frequent audience member in The Price is Right that he memorized all the prices.
Oh, really?
Various prizes because they recycled the prizes, and
like counting cards.
The contestants on, and I guess when Bob Barker left after like 7 years, this guy doing it, he was doing the same thing when Drew Carey took over, and there was a new set of producers, and they were really, really irate. Like, you just can't. The contestant just can't win because the guy happened to be encyclopedic, and the human encyclopedia of all the prices and stuff. Like, this guy went home and wrote his own program in Visual Basic to train his memory and all the various prizes and prices.
Wow. Who has every day to go stand out in that line over on
fashion, Lamarr, you make time.
Right. Yeah. Like, do you care enough, Lamarr?
I think Roger's saying the guy was me.
I'm not a big Price is Right. I'm really bad with prices because I want it to be cheap.
That show is. I understand that it's beloved and there's like a real kitsch quality to it that people like, but I've never thought it was a very fun show to watch.
I can kind of agree with that.
If it's ever on, I'm always like, oh, this is kind of fun to watch. But then I never think to watch it. I never have the urge, like, you know what I'd like to watch right now? The Price is Right.
It's one of those you leave in the background while you're doing stuff.
Yeah. But my favorite game show would probably be I forgot the name of it, but with the No Whammy. Dealing was it? Yeah. No. Well, yeah. No whammy. Stop.
Deal or no deal?
It's called Deal Something. I bet the chat will be like,
I remember. Yeah.
Because I watch it sometimes. Oh, Press Your Luck. That's it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite shows.
Those shows were always because they were on kind of early, and so it was like you'd miss it if you went to school, but if you were homesick from school, it was like, ooh, I could watch The Price is
I would
Right.
watch Joker's Wild when I would stay overnight with my grandparents because it was on at like 9 o'clock, and that would be the last thing they'd watch before bed.
So that was your cue that they were going to go to sleep and you could do whatever you want after they passed out.
No, what are you talking about? That was my cue that as soon as Joker's Wild is over, they're going to make me go to sleep.
Right. It's Tom's last hurrah.
Yeah,
And they have Tom's grandparents go help her.
freedom after bedtime,
And then you have to wake up at 4 a.m. for breakfast and a walk.
no, they were actually pretty good. I think maybe 6 would be more like it, but
They made you get up at 6. Ow.
yeah, oh yeah.
Mhm.
Six is not that early.
School.
Yeah, these kids now with their whole homeschool thing, they can get up whenever they want.
No.
Well, that's not really the idea. Yeah. I don't go to school. I'm homeschooled.
No,
No, some start in the afternoon though. They start like around 1 or so. I know a couple.
well, it depends on the parents and,
You're right.
and, like, what works for
Yeah.
their schedule.
Yeah.
There's some folks I know who it's like I think they're twins now. They're college age now, but they've been homeschooled their whole lives. And they live in kind of a rural part of Texas. So some of it was based on the convenience of homeschooling and some of it is kind of religion based, and there's all sorts of reasons. But because I was asking the mom, like, I mean, you're a full-time teacher though. Don't you ever get sick of that? And she was like, well, there are a lot of activities that they'll do for maybe an hour or 2 a day at the closest school. So there's a lot of like kid integrations that go on because you kind of think of it as like, oh, so you're just a kid sitting inside with your mom all day.
Yeah.
You know, not like playing with other kids and doing
Right.
like all the social
Well,
stuff. But
unfortunately, some are.
Well, so, sure, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it's the way that this particular situation was described to me, I was like, oh, okay, I see why that actually makes sense for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would if I ever had kids, I would definitely lean just because I worked in the school system, I would lean heavily towards doing it myself.
Yeah.
The education. And maybe coupled with the internet based, like, you know, like I wouldn't mind the internet based teacher or something. To a point. I think the school system is so terrible. I want nothing to do with it.
Some of them don't seem that great.
Yeah. And that's just from being in the trenches. It's like, oh boy. It's not.
I always went to public school, but I was lucky enough to go to what I remember as being pretty nice schools. I had some bad apple teachers, but most of them I thought were pretty good. Looking back on it, I'm like, wow, that must have been a really hard job, because kids are awful.
Oh yeah, it's just the system of it. Like you get, like, I worked in some good neighborhoods too, but it's just the factory system we still have set up for education. And when they start pushing testing, when I was there, it was all about testing, teaching to the test. It was not about kids actually learning any skills or life lessons or anything. It was just test. And that's when I knew it was time to go. Because it's like I wasn't enjoying it. I was a test moderator. Versus educating, and so it got really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I chose the neighborhood where I live, or my wife did, for the school because it's not LA Unified.
Yeah, that area actually has good schools. So I looked it up. I looked it up when I
went to a Catholic school for 5 years, and when I rolled out of 5th grade and went to public school for 6th grade, it's like we just covered this last year. Why am I repeating everything? So 6th grade was pretty easy for me because it was everything I already learned.
Yeah,
but
I chose to go to the school that I could go to because it was the only one I had to choose from.
My high school ended up being pretty good. There was a lot of
not that good.
AP and college prep oriented classes that they offered.
Tom, did you have the red schoolhouse where just one room for all the
My dad had that when he was in elementary school.
Really?
One room schoolhouse at one
Wow.
point. No, we had a high school that had been built in the 60s. We had a junior high that half had been built in the 70s and the other half had been built in the 40s.
So it was pretty new.
The high school was pretty new. They had consolidated a bunch of different high schools into one.
Okay.
So there was they had taken the Pocahontas, Sereno, and Greenville high schools and consolidated them into Bond County Community Unit number 2. And
Unit number 2
got us a total of 550 students.
My first school, my freshman year was a Catholic school. It was 300 kids. That was really small, but I liked that. And then I had to go to a public after that, and it was like 1,200. And I think the graduating class was like 200 or so at the end.
The thing about my school was is that we never had the teacher student ratio problems that bigger schools had.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know, because we only had 550 people. So
my junior high was crazy. I went to junior high in San Francisco. It was like 34 kids per class.
In junior high?
Yeah.
How many?
Wow, that's a lot.
34 kids. Like the teachers are like just rolling their eyes. It's like, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
Like, sorry, I made it in the gate. You have to take me.
I think most of our class sizes were around 20. They recognized your
jokes,
and that's how they. Hey, thanks, video people, for watching. Hope you have a great day. Audio people, stick around. There's more to come about high school, or maybe something else,
or junior high.